Hey, how you guys doing out there today? This is Stefan Jimenez from the Roto Beast team, and I'm here to present you our NFL Week 11 picks. As always, if you want to continue to watch all of our videos, please come subscribe to our YouTube channel at Roto Beast. And if you want to play the actual lineups this weekend that we're playing, please visit our website at www.rotobeast.net. So we got a pretty good slate this week. There's some very nice spots that we could take advantage of. Before I get started with my picks, I'm gonna kind of just get you a couple teams I'm gonna be targeting. First thing first, I really like the Patriots going into Oakland. They have the highest implied total of 31 projected points this week, and I think this is a great spot for their offense and Tom Brady to definitely go off. Next, I'm gonna talk about the Saints going into Washington. Saints have the second highest implied total projected to score 30 points this week. At home, we know, Saints usually play better at home. So this is a really, really nice spot for them as well. And then we'll talk about the Chiefs going into New York to play the Giants. The Giants are pretty much tanking right now. Nobody's trying. Every offense has been going against the Giants is pretty much going off. Chiefs are in a really, really good spot. I like the Chiefs a lot this week, and I think that Alex Smith is a great value play at quarterback. Then we'll talk about the game of the week for me. It's the Eagles at Dallas. It's the Sunday night game, prime time. This is a big time game. We're second place, they're first place. They're kind of running away with the division, so we got to give them this loss to kind of give ourselves a chance. So this game I think is going to be really juicy. I like both sides of this game. Both offenses should do very well in this position. And then another team I'll talk about quickly is going to be the Vikings at home against the Rams. The Vikings offense is just clicking on all cylinders right now. Their receivers are putting in mad work. Their running backs are doing pretty good. The Rams are a middle of the pack defense, but the Vikings offense is just rolling right now at home. I think that they're going to put it on the Rams. They have a 24-point implied total, which is it's a pretty solid total. And the last one I'm gonna talk about quickly. It's not on the main slate, but I really like the Seahawks going against the Falcons. The Falcons, they beat my Cowboys last week, but Falcons have really been struggling the past few weeks, and the Seahawks at home. This is a really, really good spot for Russell Wilson, especially. If you're playing, prime time or the late slate, late Sunday through Monday slate, I really, really like this game as well. There's going to be a lot of fantasy points going on in this game. So now we'll kind of just jump to the picks quickly. First things first, this is not no particular order. I'm just going to kind of give you my top five at each position. I'm just going to start from the highest and work my way down. So first we'll talk about Carson Wentz going against my Cowboys. This guy's just been good this year. I mean, his price is obviously a little bit more than I would like to pay for this guy, but I mean, it's fair for what he's been doing. I mean, he's the past 4 games, no, past 5 games. He's throwing at least 3 touchdowns in 4 of the 5 games. He's putting up massive fantasy totals. I'm at an 8.7 price tag. I usually look to get about 2.5 times out of my players on NFL. So for him, we need pretty much about a 25 spot. I think he can get there against my Cowboys. It get very close. I mean, our defense isn't the best. But one thing I will note about the Cowboys defense is we do tend to limit the long plays. We kind of make people beat us short and just keep driving. But Wentz is in a really, really good spot this week. Then we will talk about Tom Brady going into Oakland. Oakland's defense is just horrible. We know Tom Brady has, if not the most highest ceiling on this slate, he's very close. I mean, this guy could throw for 4 to 5 touchdowns pretty much any game. He's hit 30 a couple times this year. There's a bunch of quarterbacks that haven't even hit 30 one time. He's already done it 2 times. Going into Oakland, I really, really like this spot for Tom Brady. At an 8,600 price tag, he is a little bit more on the higher end, but I mean, it's Tom Brady. You're going to pay a premium. But there was a time this year where he was in the 9,000s. So 8,600 really isn't too bad. This is a solid spot for Tom Brady. Next, we will move on to Russell Wilson if you're playing the late Sunday or you're playing prime time, I really like Wilson. One thing about Wilson I always talk about is he tends to give us those extra yards on the ground. We like quarterbacks that run because they give you an extra 3 to 4 fantasy points, every week just on their running game. Plus, he's been throwing touchdowns. He's another guy, along with Tom Brady. I mean, he's hit 30 fantasy points 2 times already this year. He has a really, really high ceiling, and I think he gives you a really solid floor as well. Then we got Drew Brees at home. I mean, this guy, he's good. One thing I will note about Drew Brees, though, is he hasn't been putting up the massive total, so I think he's more of a GPP play. But the reason he hasn't is because their run game has been very, very good the past several weeks, pretty much since they got rid of Adrian Peterson and they just are going with Ingram and Kamara. They're killing it on the ground, so he hasn't had to do much. He's more just managing the game instead of having to do everything, in this game. So he is more of a GPP play, but, Drew Brees always does have the upside to throw 4 touchdowns any week. And the last guy I'm going to talk about, this guy's probably my favorite play this week at quarterback. 7,900 is a very, very fair price for him. He's been putting up solid points this year. He's averaging 21 fantasy points a game. If he gives me this 21 fantasy points at a 7.9 price tag, I'll take it and I'll be very, very happy with it. I think he's a great cash game play this week going against the Giants, who they just haven't been stopping nobody. Every offense has been going off. Alex Smith has tons of weapons on the offensive side of the ball. So he's in a great spot, and I think he's going to do massive work this week. Next, we'll move on to running back. We'll start with Todd Gurley going against Minnesota. Minnesota's a defense I really don't like targeting too much. But, he's been a workhorse. Plain and simple. He's averaging 21 fantasy points a game this season. You got to like Gurley in this spot. The thing about it is the past 2 games, his carries have been down a little bit. But he's still overall for the season averaging about 20 carries a game. And he's getting, 4 to 5 targets every single game, which hella helps him. He's getting those catches. He's getting in the end zone. I just think he gives you a solid floor. But he's not my favorite cash game play this week. But I think he is a really good play. Then we'll talk about Kareem Hunt. I think Kareem Hunt, I like him a little bit more than Todd Gurley. He actually hasn't been getting the workload that he was getting earlier in the year. But he's still doing solid. These are kind of like but and what he's been doing overall. Plus, he's getting a lot of targets, making those catches. The problem with him is he just hasn't gotten the end zone in a while. If he gets us 1 touchdown against the Giants and gets us his, 88 rushing yards that he's averaging, I'll take that all day. I think he is a really, really good play this week. So I do like him. Then we will talk about Ingram. This dude is just he's getting massive workload and he's getting in the end zone. Ever since Peterson left, he's averaging 20 carries a game. It's crazy because Kamara has been doing very good as well, but he's not taken away from Ingram. Ingram's been, getting his. Last week put up 31 fantasy points. You can't expect that from him. He got in the end zone 3 times, but you can't expect 20 carries, maybe about 100 yards, get a touchdown, and also he didn't have any targets last week. He only had 1 the week before. That's a little bit scary. Kamara is getting the passing downs, but before that, Ingram did have 6 targets, 5 targets, 5 targets, 8 targets. So, they haven't had to throw to him, the past couple weeks, but they have been throwing to him overall in the season. And I think Mark Ingram is a really, really good play this week going against Washington. Then we got, on the cheaper end, the 2 guys that I like. Let me find them. First, we got Devonta Freeman. The guy's probably going to be out. He's in concussion protocol. So pretty much you got to just put Coleman in your lineup. Don't overthink it and be like, oh, I'm going to try to get cute with it. There is no getting cute with it right here. 5.9K. If he's going to get 20 carries like he did last week when Freeman went out early, plus he's going to get the, a couple of targets. This guy's a lock and load, must start in cash games if Freeman is out this week. You got to really, really love this guy. And one more guy I'll quickly touch on is, where's he at? Where'd he go? Hold on for me 1 second. Let me find him for you. Chris Thompson for the Washington. Washington only has two running backs now. Earlier in the year, when Kelly was hurt, and it was just Thompson and the young guy. The young guy was getting he was getting a lot of the carries, but Thompson was getting a lot of the catches. I mean, look at this guy every week, pretty much. And then especially the past three, 9 targets, 6 targets, 7 targets. A lot of people are hurt on this team, and so Cousins has to throw somewhere, and he's dropping. He's doing a lot of dump offs to Thompson. Thompson gives us a really high floor with the fact that he's given us these targets. The only thing I wish that he would get a little bit more carries, even if he only gave us 12 carries for 50 yards, but got 6 targets for even 50 yards, and that would be a solid floor for him. I think he's a little bit more of a GPP play, just based on the fact that he doesn't get the carries. He's more of a just catches the targets out of the backfield on third downs, but he should get a little bit more run, and I do like him this week as well. Next, let's move on to the wide receivers. We will start with Michael Thomas. This guy is he's getting consistency every single week. He's getting 10 to 11 targets pretty much, and he's making the most of them. He had a massive game last week, 9 catches for 117 yards. He hasn't had that breakout game, which scares me a little bit on his price tag. And he's only getting into the end zone 2 times this whole year, but I think it'll regress a little bit, and I think that he is going to get into the end zone more than he has been. The thing is Breeze hasn't been having to throw it. Like I said, Ingram and Kamara have been doing a lot of the running into the end zone. But Thomas, I mean, he's a really, really good play this week. I really like him a lot. Then we will go to Doug Baldwin. I mean, he's Russell Wilson's top receiver. I mean, it's plain and simple. He's getting most of the targets, 12, 10, 12. He only got 6, but I think he was being shadowed by Patrick Peterson right here. I really like Baldwin this week. If you're playing the late, Sunday through Monday or the prime time slate, this guy's he's a really, really good lock and load play. He is one of the top receivers on the slate. Next, we will go down to Julio. Come on, Julio. He's only 7,700. You got Chancellor, who's out. You got what is? I'm sorry. What is his name? Sherman. You got Sherman, who I think is out as well. Julio's. I mean, this guy's 7,700. That's ridiculous. I mean, he's gonna be a really, really good play. Even though he's going against Seattle's defense, like I said, they're banged up in their secondary. The thing about him, I've been talking about it, is he hasn't had that massive breakout game, and it's coming. And we've seen that 33 fantasy point game, and he just hasn't had it this year, and it's coming. And he's at his cheapest price tag I've seen him in 3 years. So I mean, he's a really, really good play this week. I think you could throw him in your cash games and feel pretty safe about it. Next, we will move down a little bit. We will go with Jarvis Landry, 6,800. This guy just gives you a solid floor for cash games. He's getting 12, 16, 18. He had an off game against Baltimore, which is a really good pass defense. Went back to Oakland, 12 and 12 again. So, I mean, he's not going to get you nothing special, but he's going to get you those 12 fantasy points a game. And, at his price tag, I would like at least 15. But, I mean, if you're looking for the floor for cash games, you got to love Landry. Next, we will go down a little bit. We got Shumpert. So today it creeped up that he has an illness. He's questionable for tomorrow. I'm thinking that he's gonna play. He'll be all right. Ever since he came back, I mean, look at this guy. First game back, 9 targets, caught 5 of them for 70 yards. Last game, he didn't even get into the end zone. He got 19, 13 targets. He caught 11 of them for 142 yards. I mean, you can't expect a big number like this, but I think you could easily expect 8 to 9 catches for close to 100 yards. And if he gets in the end zone, that's only going to be a bonus for 6,500. I mean, I think this is a steal on the price tag for what he's doing. I think this is a very, very good price tag. And this guy is almost a lock for me if I'm certain that he's going to play tomorrow. I love Shumpert this week. And the last guy I'm going to quickly mention is, let me find him for you real quick. Jamison Crowder. I mean, Cousins likes to throw the ball. He has to throw it somewhere. He's only 5,400. In the past 2 games, he's got 13 targets and 11 targets. Last week was a little bit more tougher, going against the fifth ranked defense in Minnesota. He only caught 4 of his 11 targets for 76 yards, but he still gave us 10 fantasy points. And then you got Dallas. He had 13 targets, caught 9 of them for 123 yards. He had 18. I just think he gives you a really, really solid floor at a 5,400 price tag. I mean, this is a steal, and I really, really like him a lot this week. Let me finish it off with tight ends. First, we'll talk about Gronk. I mean, Gronk is in play every week. I mean, he gets the production of a number one receiver for the most part. The thing that scares me about Gronk, for 8,200, he's been up and down, up and down. He got us a monster 23-point game, followed it with only a 6. Got a 14 and a 9. So I mean, I would like to see a little bit more consistency out of Gronkowski, but any week he can go off for the 23 to 25, and to get that from your tight end, I mean, that's awesome. So I mean, he's gonna has a chance to do a lot of work against the Oakland defense, who isn't very good. Next, we'll talk about Zach Ertz. This guy's been the most consistent tight end all season long. I mean, plain and simple, he's getting a lot of touchdowns. He's getting a lot of red zone targets. Plus, I mean, he's leading. He's leading the. Oh no, he's top 3 in the league in targets to tight ends. I mean, this guy's just getting you double-digit fantasy points every week, and I mean that's what we want from our tight end. His price tag has caught up. I mean, he's 8,000, which is that's a tough price to pay. We pretty much need close to 20 almost for him to hit value. So that makes it a little bit scary. But I mean, tight end is a position where it's either you're gonna get the high end guys or you're gonna get the low end guys. There never really is a middle tier for the tight ends. Next, we'll talk about Travis Kelce. I mean, this guy, he's pretty much the Kansas City Chiefs' number one wide receiver. I mean, he's getting and he's putting up points like he's getting, say 9 targets a game pretty much. And he's making the most with his targets. He's a big red zone threat. He has he has a touchdown in the past 3 games. I could easily see him scoring a touchdown tomorrow against the Giants. So this guy's a really, really good play at 7,500. Next, we'll talk about Ingram. I mean, he's in that role of him and Shepard are pretty much the only 2 guys that Eli has to throw to. 12 targets, 10 targets, 9 targets. He's had 4 touchdowns in the 4 straight games, so he's giving you that high floor that you're looking for in cash games, 16, 15, 15, 12. So, I mean, Ingram, he's a really good play. I just think he's a little bit more expensive than I would like. I would probably go with Travis Kelce for 100 more on the opposite side of the ball. And then quickly, the last guy I'm going to talk about is Vernon Davis. I played him last week. He's been consistent, 5,200 only, and I mean he's getting 9 targets, 11 targets. He's been starting these past 2 games since Jordan Reed has been out, and he's getting the targets 9 and 11. He's making the most of them for the most part, 6 and 7, 70 yards, 10 and 11 fantasy points. At a 5.2 price tag, if he gives me 10 fantasy points, I'm not going to complain. I'm going to be happy with it, and I'm going to move about my business. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. So, hey, tomorrow, let's win some money on NFL. If you got any questions or you want to talk about somebody I didn't talk about, feel free to leave a comment below. And if you haven't already, please click the subscribe button. Make sure that you like my video. I would really appreciate it. And, hey, let's get this money this week, all right? Have a good one.